Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Imperial Scholars Podcast. My name is Mitch. My co-host is Cabs. And in today's episode, Cabs, I figure since we're covering a new subject, since last time we covered chaos itself, I would cover something else. And this time I'll give you something of a hint. This is the reverse chaos.
Reverse chaos?
Yeah.
Reverse chaos would be Lizardmen then, no?
There you go. That's the one. Yeah, we're covering Lizardmen today.
Let's go.
But yes, we're doing Lizardmen today. This is the subject that I decided. It's like we did chaos last time, and Lizardmen is another group that they're not going to have any stories. They're not really going to like show up in a way that's prominent to the narrative because they've always been there.
Yeah, all I know about the Lizardmen is that they worship the space toads.
That's all you need to know. That is almost entirely their lore. I'm not going to lie. I mean, they have some named characters, but they don't even show up in like most stories, to be honest.
Really?
Like, they showed up briefly in the Nagash omnibus, and I'm not even sure why, to be honest. They were there as mercenaries, but nothing was given into detail as to how they got them as mercenaries or what their motive was. It was the strangest thing. But yeah, by and large, they're not going to be super prominent with just other people because they're kind of an anomaly amongst races.
So you're telling me the main fighting force of chaos, like in quotation, the good guys,
yes,
are like barely talked about.
It's sort of this weird thing. Again, like we've done this before, and I've kind of done this thing of being like comparing Space Marines to the Lizardmen, right?
Yeah.
So the thing is that much like the Space Marines, it's this thing that's like if you see a Space Marine as just a normal Joe Schmo in Warhammer 40K, you really shouldn't ever see a regular Space Marine because that means that like shit has hit the fan 10 times over. Like standard military operations is not enough to hold back the force that you're dealing with. The Lizardmen are very
it's actually
similar.
a bad thing to see one of those dudes.
Yeah, it's not a good thing to see those dudes because that means that things are dire. It's the same with the Lizardmen, sort of. Because the Lizardmen aren't necessarily this thing of like, oh, they're the defenders of humanity. The best way I can describe them is if I were to give like a idea is order at all costs.
Order at all cost. It sounds like a very like lawful, like neutral standpoint, like in like D&D alignments.
Yes, and that is probably the best way that I can describe it because I guess that's the thing is that like they really don't care who they have to kill or what they have to do if it means applying to the old one's plan and keeping in touch with the old one's plan or the way that they perceive it.
And how do they perceive such plans?
Okay. So
I guess that's going to bring us into the lore now.
Yeah, you're bringing me into segues here. You're bringing me into segues. You're delivering me to the promised land. So the thing is that the Lizardmen actually, basically everything that the Lizardmen do is going to be based off of plaques that they have in their secret temples. The Lizardmen have this very Aztec aesthetic to themselves that all of their architecture and all of their weaponry is very, the thing of being like the Aztecs had like secret technology and all this stuff and like they were way more advanced, like this conspiracy theory sort of stuff that they have.
Yeah.
So imagine if they used that and added it to the Lizardmen lore. So it is this thing of like floating Aztec temples that are fueled by like strange anomaly magical powers that only the old ones understood. And the Lizardmen have basically inherited.
Yeah.
And so the main thing is that like when the old ones dipped, the old ones just left and just, you guys will figure it out. Bye, kids. We're going to go get milk. They left behind all of these plaques for the Lizardmen to interpret. The problem was that the plaques weren't cut and dry, and sometimes it was this thing of like, oh, this sudden plaque is just like glowing with this godly light. But it's like, how does this apply to our current situation? What the hell is this?
Do they not have like plaque readers or something?
Well, what it is basically is the Slann, their whole job now that the old ones left, the Slann are just in constant meditation for like millions and millions of years, just trying to interpret the meaning of the old ones' plaques and trying to commune with the old ones.
All right.
So the whole time, the Slann, those big frog dudes, if they're not in war, which they're usually not, they're just sitting there going like, "Speak to me, O wise ones. Give me your knowledge. And what the hell does this mean?" And that's the Slann's whole job now, basically. And then they wake up every like couple thousand years and being like, "We go to war with Norska." And being like, "Why? Don't ask questions, that's why. Know your place." And the Saurus are just like, "All right, we're going to war. This is what we do. Time to mess someone up."
Okay.
So, I mean, and in reality, I could almost end the episode there on the Lizardmen's like tactics and their reasoning behind their stuff. Because all of their logic, I mean, what was the quote again? Let me have a look one more time. "None can understand their motives nor their ceaseless drive, for none truly understand that they are the rightful inheritors of the mortal world." No one can understand these dudes, and they're just operating off of like, the old one said this plaque says this. But the Lizardmen don't always agree with each other on these plaques, too. That's the weird thing.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, like, what if like one group of Lizardmen are like the plaque says this and the other ones think that? Like, is there like a civil war or something? Like, what happens?
I don't think there's ever been a civil war to the best of my knowledge, but generally that is the main thing that prevents the Lizardmen from taking action, is being like, "Oh, well, this plaque says this," and then like Lord Talaklimble says like, "Oh, this plaque says this," and then you gotta like figure out like which one are we supposed to interpret and which one, you know, is accurate. There has been, so there is like one thing, there's a story about a skink, actually. Remember I mentioned the Skaven episode, the war with Clan Pestilence?
Yep.
So a skink at one point, like when that whole thing was going on and just absolute insanity was taking place, the sources were just coming up and just completely just like pox-ridden and all of this stuff. It looked like the Lizardmen were really going to take a huge hit. And then this red-crested skink showed up and had this plaque that was like, "Hey guys, I got this plaque that says if we sacrifice enough of these rat men," this is basically Lizard Moses, by the way, "if we sacrifice enough of these rat dudes, we can summon a lesser chaos god known as Sotek, the great serpent, and he will chase all of the Skaven through the great sea and chase them out of Lustria, our home." So it's reverse Moses being like, "Oh, the great Sotek will deliver us to the promised land. It's like Sotek will kick the goddamn rats off my property."
By summoning a chaos god.
By summoning a lesser chaos god, which is just a big-ass snake. Just a big-ass gummy worm.
That's actually hilarious.
Yeah, and at the time, the Slann were like, "Hey, who the hell do you think you are? We're in charge. Know your place, you bottom feeder." But all the skinks were like, "No, I think we're going to listen to this dude. He seems to know what he's talking about. He speaks with enough, like, I mean, he's got the red crest. He's got this, like, red mohawk thing going on. And he's basically just gets all these cohorts of skinks who just become zealous, like, followers of this lesser chaos god called Sotek. And eventually, Sotek does show himself of being like, "Get out of here, you scum." So, I mean, that kind of stuff does happen. But by and large, it is this thing of like, that's an anomaly amongst the Lizardmen. By and large, it's the Slann tell you, "Go in there and fight 100 Chaos Warriors. I know you're just one dude, but you got it."
And that's just like how they are. They just listen to these things.
Yeah, and the Saurus Warriors are just like, "You got it, boss."
Oh, man.
So I kind of covered before, right? Like the Lizardmen are basically made up of the Slann, which are the big dudes in the thrones that lead them.
Yep.
the Saurus warriors, who are like the warriors, they're the fighters, blah, blah, blah. The Skinks, who are basically architects and planners. And Croxigors are supposed to act as labor, but they'll send them in as shock troops as well. We'll cover the army forces a bit more in detail, but that's the main like 4 groups of the Lizardmen who are created from these spawning pools.
And like, how do they produce? Like, what's their society like? Like, are they just listening to these plaques all the time? Like, do they have like holy rituals?
So generally, yes, of like the plaques always play a role for like, this is how we're going to respond. This is how we're going to react. And if the plaques aren't glowing or giving some sign that we should be listening to this plaque, it's like the Lizardmen aren't doing much. They're just kind of vibing in Lustria. But yeah, Saurus themselves, like Saurus, Skinks, and Slann, or sorry, not Slann. Saurus and Skinks, they are created in what is called a spawning pool. It's exactly what it sounds like. A spawning pool is literally just this weird, like, you know, Batman, like the Ra's al Ghul's like thing that he uses to. With this? Huh?
What? What do you mean, Batman?
Well, you know, Batman and Ra's al Ghul. You know that dude?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know the Lazarus Pit? That's like the green.
I do not.
Oh, it's like this green, like bathtub thing that Ra's al Ghul uses to stay immortal. Anyways, so that thing is like, basically imagine that is what the Lizardmen literally just spawn out of, is these magical weird pools of like just green liquid, kind of like the Uruk-hai from Lord of the Rings, right? But instead of coming out of the mud,
that's how they spawn in.
Instead of coming out of the mud, it's just like magic green ooze.
Where did they get this? Like, okay, well, huh?
What? Old like one technology, dude. Old one technology.
Okay. Yeah, go into more detail about the old one technology. Like, what do you mean by that?
So it's this thing with the spawning pools is basically that every source is spawned at a key moment that is foretold by the old ones for a specific purpose. The weird thing is that the source are spawned kind of in the reverse of the Skaven. And what I mean by that is like the Skaven spawned, if a Skaven dropped a litter and it was like hundreds of black littered Skaven, they would be like, oh, this is going to be a good batch of storm vermin because there's so many of them. They're all black furred. And instead of saying like, a Skaven brood mother dropped a litter of like 12 brown furred Skaven. It's like, oh, that's gonna be some slaves in the future, right? The Saurus operate the exact opposite, where it's like, oh, like 50 Sauruses just popped out of the green ooze, the green goo. Then it's like, they're probably not going to be anything special. Put them in the military ranks and have them do what they do. That's fine. The Slann will tell them to go and like die in battle. It's fine. If a single Saurus, or say like, a group of 10 emerge out of the green ooze at one time, it's like, these are the elite dudes. These are our chosen dudes to like lead the armies, to do all the heavy lifting.
Do they like look different at all? Like these when they come in groups of 10, like what?
So the Saurus do have like crests on their head, right? Like they have these big, like, like a Triceratops kind of has a big crest thing going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of look like that with the Saurus warriors. So if a Saurus has like a giant crest on his head, that's basically like, I don't know, like twice the, like basically it looks like he has a second head, basically like the shape of it. That's kind of a sign. It's kind of like the Skaven with their tails. Like if a Skaven has a long tail, he's like, oh yes, look at the length of my tail. Sign of blessings from Horned Rat. But it's like this thing of like with the Saurus, if they have a giant crest, it's like, that's a chosen dude. That dude's going to be like an old blood or like an eternity warden or like some elite general of the Saurus. Generally, they're led by, I believe, old bloods and Scar veterans is like the title given to generals.
Okay.
As for, I haven't really covered Skinks, right? Skinks oftentimes, the thing is that they're the brains of the operation. They often play the role of being like second fiddle to the Slann and like kind of the assistant, if I'm being real.
Like the bitch boy.
Well, yes and no, in the fact of if a Slann or if a Skink is very much mundane and doesn't play much of a role, then yeah, pretty much bitch boy. I think there's literally a cutscene in Total War Warhammer 2 where some Skinks are fanning a Slann. Like that's where their role awesome. For like all eternity. I'm like, that sucks, bro. That's rough. But if you're like an elite,
this is your role.
This is your role for all eternity. Is fan.
The tablet says so. You're gonna fan me.
Can you imagine being like, look at this tablet. It says Jeff is on fan duty for all eternity. Get on it.
Yeah, the old ones will it.
Yeah, the old one. Exactly, right? It's just some dude who's just like 15 beers deep. The old ones will it. Get on it. But no, like the Skinks at the end of the day, usually they play the role of like the architects and like they're the lead hands, project managers.
Oh, the PMs, baby.
The PMs. That's what they are, man. Give them the credit of the PM when you need them. But also, like, Skinks can often have, like, some level of magical integrity or, like, some connection to magic, right? They can play the role of Skink Star Chiefs, I think they're called, or Star Seers. There's a handful of things, right? Like, if they have an attunity to magic, they can work their way up. Sometimes they may just be given the job of just being skirmish units, though. Like Skinks oftentimes are just given a blowpipe and just being like, go and annoy, harass the enemy, and if they get close, run away, and the Saurus will fight them when they get to them. Don't worry about it. Skinks themselves actually come in a handful of different styles. Like there's also chameleon Skinks. You can guess their gimmick.
Yeah, I'm assuming they just go invisible.
They can go invisible very quickly. They play a role in Total War, and in the tabletop, they're annoying as hell, and they're also expensive as hell. Because they basically is this thing of being like, they'll just spawn in. You can literally just be like, it's kind of like Deep Strike with 40k. You can spawn them in at a different point, have them do their thing, and then if an enemy gets near, you can have them like basically spawn at a different place.
What? That sounds so OP, dude.
It would be OP if it weren't for the fact that they're just hanging out with blowpipes, and I think they come in groups of like 10.
Okay, yeah, so they give them like poopy equipment.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes,
right?
You can teleport around the world. Here's just a little blow dart.
Yeah, you can teleport everywhere, but you're also not going to be capturing any objective points, so it's kind of pointless, to be honest. And they're not going to be taking out any enemies. So they're just an annoyance on the tabletop from the sounds of it. I can't find a reason for them. But that's my opinion. Maybe I haven't tried them. So it's like I just read them and I'm like, there's no way in hell. No way. And Skinks oftentimes play the role of like the animal handlers actually as well. When I stop and break it down, Skinks might be the most important for just like
they do everything.
They do everything. Yeah, exactly. Because
the economy.
Yeah.
Economy.
Nothing would function without the Skink. Don't get me wrong. Like these dudes, they act as beast tamers. They act as the project managers. They're putting in the work. They're on that grind set. All right.
What beast do you like they tame? Like what do they usually like ride into battle? They do have mounts or.
All right, Cabs, were you a dinosaur kid growing up?
No, I was more of like a Cars guy.
Oh, damn. I
was like a Cars and like Army dude. I was a big Hot Wheels guy, you know?
Oh, I was too. But for me, it was like, yeah, there was dinosaurs and then there was Hot Wheels. Like that was the layer for me growing up. Like I was that kid that could name like every single dinosaur. And now I traded all of that knowledge in for memorizing Warhammer characters.
There you go. Instead of a normal archaeologist, you're a Warhammer archaeologist. You ever seen that meme where it's like those guys where it's like anime titty expert? It's like that picture of that dude.
Oh, that's what with the ponytail. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's just you, Warhammer historian.
Standard Warhammer historian. Cue guts Chad face meme.
There you go.
But anyways, I actually could have gotten all of that, and I gotta be honest, I think that has translated over because I'm like, okay, I like dinosaurs growing up. What's better than a dinosaur? A dinosaur with a laser gun. riding other dinosaurs. So the skinks.
So that's what they tame.
That is pretty much what they tame. So the skinks, they tame basically Triceratops, which I think they call oh shit. Now I can't remember the names. I remember the actual dinosaurs.
This is
Stegodons. Thank you. Stegodons. So they handle basically Triceratops, Bronchiosaurus, I think was the name of it. The one with the big like club tail, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Like that thing?
Yeah, I remember from battling you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you fought it. Yeah, that thing.
Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah, fuck, dude. It messes people up on Age of Sigmar now, let me tell you.
Yeah, it's not fun.
No. And of course your favorite, the Carnosaur, which is usually has like an elite general on top.
Even better,
yeah. I don't know if they actually. Oh, and also pterodons. I didn't mention pterodons. I mean, can you imagine a pterodon given the name? Can you guess what dinosaur that is?
Pterodactyl.
There you go. You got it exactly. Yeah. There's also another version called the Ripperdactyl.
Oh wow, that one sounds cool actually.
The Ripperdactyl, I think it's actually based off of like I think it's based off of a real dinosaur, but it's basically a pterodactyl that has like a piranha head.
That sounds pretty cool.
It's pretty dope. But yeah, those dudes are more like anti-infantry, get in close and just tear the enemy to shreds. Pterodon riders, the pterodactyl dudes, they just fly in and just throw like either slings or basically fire bombs, like from Dark Souls. So they'll just like harass you with these things and then just being like, oh, someone's shooting at us, just fly away. Get out, dodge. Let the Carnosaur come in and mess stuff up, which is basically a T-Rex. Let the Stegodon / Triceratops just barrel in through dudes with the Bronchiosaurus / I can't even remember its actual name. But, all of these monsters, like Lizardmen are big onto dinosaur infantry to just mess dudes up. They have skinks and... Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, are they really like infantry focused? Is that like their thing?
No, they're a good mix actually of pretty much everything, to be honest, except artillery. Artillery might be their biggest weakness, but I mean, even so, they still have the, oh, god damn it. Now I gotta look up the name. Bastillodon. That's the one. The Bastillodon is that big-ass turtle tank that has like the gun. It has like a big-ass gem on it. Do you remember that?
No, I didn't fight that, man.
You've never fought that? Have I not brought that up? I swear you fought that. Anyways.
I don't got enough points for that.
Huh?
No, that's not me. You fought that against someone else.
Maybe. But yeah, I mean, it's just this big like turtle thing, like a Bronchiosaur or whatever that like has a big crystal gem on its back and it just shoots giant blasts of energy at people. It's just a siege weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I mean, that's their artillery, and that's pretty much all they got. They have one thing actually. Basically, all of their Stegodons, the Triceratops, they have like harpoon guns on them, and they have one version of it that has what is referred to as the engine of the gods. And as you might expect, this is old one equipment that basically just, in Halo when they glass a planet, like the Covenant glass a planet.
Yeah.
Imagine that like on a smaller scale, and that's basically the engine of the gods.
Ooh.
So they have some wacky tech. They got some cool tech. It's like between the weirdness of just dudes throwing spears and not having gunpowder, but also being able to use Halo level Covenant technology to just delete their enemies, which is handy when you're fighting chaos.
Yeah, I guess, right?
Yeah. They also, the Skinks are also in charge of taming what is referred to as Razordons and Salamanders, which is basically just two giant dinosaurs that like one shoots giant spikes out of its tail and back. The other one spits flame at you.
Ooh, that sounds really cool. It's like kind of like a flamethrower.
Imagine kind of like more like artillery barrage, I guess. Like not like a solid stream, but just kind of like a
like a
little loogie of fire coming your way. They basically suit magma, actually, from what I recall. Like, that's kind of how it's described in the rule book. And and there's also cold ones, which is basically just raptors that they just ride into battle. Like, the skinks and the saurus will ride these dudes into battle and just do, like, heavy-hitting spear charges with these dudes, like the Rohan riders.
Ooh, that sounds cool.
Yeah, tell me what's cooler than a dinosaur riding a dinosaur doing a Rohan charge. Exactly.
Okay. So how are their battles usually go? Like, are they usually victorious, or like do they gotta, like, are they feared across the realms, the Lizardmen?
So the main thing,
how does Chaos feel about them?
Yeah, the main thing that gets in the way of the Lizardmen is the fact that they can't reproduce beyond whatever skink or saurus just pops out of the spawning pool. They can't force anything.
Oh, they just like pop out.
They just pop out arbitrarily every like couple, maybe we'll have 50 sauruses in a decade. Maybe we'll have 50 sauruses by tomorrow. Who knows?
What's their lifespan then? Like how long can they live till?
Oh, eternal.
Oh, they're eternal.
Oh,
until
yeah,
they
dude.
just die.
Like the high elves are the second species that was created by the old ones, right? So it's this thing of the high elves being like, yes, the ancient inheritors of the earth, the plebeian dwarves and the monkey humans.
It's like Frieza.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's like, but you compare that to the Lizardmen. It's like, bro, you've been alive for like 10,000 years. I've been here for a mill. All right, you're a baby. In my eyes, shut the hell up.
Do they not like the elves? Like, how do they feel about the other races, actually?
So the Lizardmen are weird because it's this thing of like, they don't necessarily hate anyone like the dwarves or the elves or, they don't hate any other species. But if someone transgresses on their lands or interrupts their plans, they will exterminate them with ruthless efficiency, no questions asked.
Okay.
And it's not this thing of like, they have the impression of, oh, we've offended these dudes, somewhere down the line, like maybe they hold a grudge, blah, blah, blah. They don't care. Like, they're not, it's like, you guys are by the old one's design, so long as you stick to the old one's design. But if you're not going to stick to it, we don't care. We'll wipe you off the map. That doesn't care. I don't care. That's fine.
As long as the tablets will it.
Whatever the tablets will, brother. Like, that's all that matters. So, yeah, like, there is a thing of, like, the dwarf. There is reports of, like, dwarfs going down south to be like, oh, there's gold in here. Yeah, gold in, like, Saurus temples. Being like, don't go touching that stuff. That's old one technology, dude. Don't touch it.
And then they just get destroyed.
Yeah, because the Lizardmen are like, get the hell off our land. And then it's like, oh, we had this completely arbitrary attack by the Lizardmen. We don't know what's happening, why they're attacking us. It's like, because you robbed them. And they didn't, but they also didn't, they didn't like threaten you being like, hey, give us back our stuff or we'll delete you. It was literally like, first step, genocide.
First step, genocide. Oh, that's amazing.
Efficiency. Like Thanos, dude. It's efficient.
Man, they're kind of hardcore then.
Oh yeah,
how do they like trade with other nations? Do they even engage with trade? Do they even care?
That was the thing that I found weird about reading the Nagash omnibus. Like I said, like they showed up briefly to be like, oh yeah, like they were hired basically as mercenaries. Like they had the Lizardmen there fighting with them, but it didn't explain why. It didn't explain how. They were just there for some reason. So I guess it does happen, but I don't know if it's thing of like, here's 10,000 pounds of like, cow meat with you fight with us. Or if it's this thing of like, Plaque says we fight with you.
Okay.
Like, I don't know. I really have no clue. And even in Age of Sigmar, the only group that they can actually fight with is the Stormcasts. And that's vague. So it's all like alien Ooga Booga stuff, dude.
Interesting.
Yeah. And obviously the Lizardmen have a lot of characters. They will probably get their own episodes in the future. I mean, like I said, right? That dude, the red crested skink. I'm sure he'll get his own episode. There's Croxigor, there's Nakai, there's Lord Mazdamundi. There's all these named dudes, and you know a handful of these dudes already. But yeah, we'll cover them in a future episode.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I feel like we kind of covered I guess the only thing we haven't covered at this point is we kind of covered the Carnosaur, the Stegodon, the Ankylosaurus looking thing, the Raptor dudes, like the Cold One Riders. Yeah, the only thing I don't think we've covered really are the Croxigors.
Yeah. Tell me about the Croxigors.
So the Croxigors.
What's their deal?
One of my favorite units ever. Because they're mean.
Pretty cool.
They are mean in Age of Sigmar, dude. Oh my God, are they broken right now?
How are they in like fantasy? Were they good?
I
on the tabletop?
I don't know how they were in fantasy. I know, like, again, I joined too late. I joined when Age of Sigmar started. Unfortunately, I hopped on the bandwagon when Age of Sigmar came out, and then by then, like, fantasy was out the window. I imagine they were probably pretty good. Because much like everything is power scaling, right?
Yeah.
Because when Age of Sigmar first came out, the Lizardmen were like borderline unplayable. And now they're like, oh my God, dude.
Oh, now they're unreal, dude.
Yeah, now they're broken. Before, there was literally this thing of like, dude, I would be lucky if I could take out like 2 units of my enemy's forces. Didn't matter what he was playing, dude. If I was fighting like Sylvaneth or Sylvaneth Realm Lords or, ogres, it didn't matter. Now it's like I can send my Croxigors in and they can wipe out like half an army. It's insane. But Croxigors play the role of the big monstrous infantry to just wipe dudes off the map. Lore-wise, though, the issue is that they were designed exclusively for construction and labor force. They weren't designed necessarily to think much. So when they were first created, like the first few spawnings of the Croxigors, they were a fair bit more intelligent. The issue was that as the Great Catastrophe occurred and chaos started coming in and destroying all of this old one technology and killing the Slann and stuff, they were devolving rapidly with time and becoming dumber and dumber, that a skink would basically have to be around them 24/7. So they're still lethal in combat. The problem is that they just have extreme deficiencies with like just basic logic compared to their original counterparts. So they'll go in, they'll start attacking a force, and then they'll forget what they're doing, drop their weapon, and go back to the skink for further instructions. They become that stupid.
Okay. So
but, if the skink tells them, hey, there's a force, go and deal with it, you can be like, unless those are aspiring chaos champions, that force is kaput. That force is dead.
So they're basically like meatheads, but like great warriors.
Yeah, exactly. They're like they're not too far off from like the ogres of the Lizardmen, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's the role they play. And I didn't mention the fact that I'm pretty sure the Slann, like when the Great Catastrophe occurred, we covered that in the first episode, right? When chaos came in and everyone got swamped.
Yeah.
So the Lizardmen took a huge blow from all of that, and unfortunately they lost a lot of Slann, like the big frog dudes, to when that occurred. And unfortunately, I think the Slann are not able to be like, I don't think they can spawn more Slann from the spawning pools. I'm pretty sure.
Are they just like the OG guys? Then they just can't come back?
Pretty much. I mean, there's like multiple generations of Slann. So like, I think there's like 5 or 6 generations of Slann between like thousands of years. Right. Mm-hmm. But I think beyond that, it is this thing of like, oh, like we can't bring him back now. Like if we lose a dude, it's like, that's a leader gone and we can't replace him with another one, unfortunately. I think, don't quote me on that, but I believe that's how it works. I could be mistaken. And I mean, I guess like, you asked about like the relation between like the Lizardmen and other races. The Lizardmen compared to say the Empire or Chaos or like all of these groups that kind of want to expand their territory, the Lizardmen are surprisingly isolationist, mostly because they spend all their time waiting for the Slann to make a decision.
It kind of reminds you of like the Treebeards from Lord of the Rings.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly how it is, of being like, we have decided that you are not chaos. Well, there's still chaos over there, buddy. So like that's
amazing.
So, I mean, a few stories I can go over just to give you an idea, right? The Slann, like, okay. When there's one Slann in particular called Lord Mazdamundi, right? He'll get his own episode, I suspect, sometime in the future. But Lord Mazdamundi, basically, there were some chaos worshipping Norskins that came to Lustria and developed a small outpost. And the Skink saw this and was like, oh, these random humans have come onto our land and basically just set up shop, and they have no reason to be here. We didn't give them authority to be here, and they're just doing their thing. It's like, I better report this to my Slann and let him know. So they go to what is referred to as Hexerwaddle, the City of the Sun, one of the most prominent remaining cities of the Lizardmen, because most Lizardmen cities were left in ruins after the Great Catastrophe. They've been rebuilt since then to some degree. But he goes to the Lizardmen, or to his Slann Lord, and is like, hey, Lord Mazdamundi, we got some humans out on the border here, like on our coastline. And the Slann is like, don't interrupt me while I'm meditating, bro. Don't do it. It's a no-go. It's a no, we don't do that here. But he basically just looks at him and goes, all right, go and kick them off then. Take a force, get rid of them. Skink nods his head, listens. All right, let's take a force, get rid of these humans. They get the Norskins to retreat back to Norska. I think 100 years pass or something like that. The Norskins come back. They forgot completely about what happened last time. They set up an outpost. Same Skink goes to Lord Mazdamundi. Boss, we got more dudes. Same dudes. He's like, that was like, I just told, and it's a Slann, right? So they're living for millions of years. 100 years is like a blink of an eye to them. It's like, I just told you to go deal with them. It's like, I did. And they came back. It's like, oh, all right, fine. Go deal with them again. Goes and deals with them again. This happens a third time. And eventually now Mazdamundi goes, all right, enough of this. It's again like Thanos. I'll deal with it myself. And he puts his Pelican on a giant stegodon, the largest stegodon ever recorded, by the name of Tlax, I think is what he calls it. And it's like, all right, fine. I'm going to lead the army on the front line and boot these assholes off our land. Get rid of them. And sure enough, Lord Mazdamundi proceeds to whoop their asses so badly that they leave permanently. He eviscerates them with so much efficiency, even the Norskins are like, we're not coming back here. This sucks. I hate this place. And that permanently gets rid of these Norskins, but like obviously not without them being like, we'll come back one day to wipe you and your people out. And Lord Mazdamundi's like, yeah, okay, you do that, sunshine. I'll be here meditating if you need me. A little ways down, and the event of the Sundering occurs at one point, right?
Yeah.
Malekith has developed his giant army of the Nagarothi in Nagorond in the far north, basically just north of Lustria, right?
Yeah, all those butts.
This is where the issue was the fact that there was just a clear way for Lustria to Nagoroth, and Malekith looking at this going like, yeah, screw it. Let's go raid the Lizardmen. They got gold. They got all this cool stuff. Let's go take their stuff.
Why did he raid them?
Because they got gold, man. Like, oh, look, all this free stuff. Let's just kill the citizens and just take the stuff and get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're just like, oh, just gotta take their stuff and just just dip. And obviously the Lizardmen were like, no, you're not taking our plaques. You're not taking our old one technology. Like, get the hell off our land. But Malekith, being the stubborn jackass that he was like, no, just keep going. Just keep going. Eventually they'll get tired. Eventually we'll make it our way through. That's fine. And this continues long enough that Mazda Mundi goes, all right, this is getting stupid. It's going nowhere. I got to stop these jackasses from crossing our border. So what he does is just abruptly just decides, you know what? I'm just going to create a mountainscape to just divide our places. And so he spawns an entire mountain range to keep the Nagarathi and the Dark Elves out of Lustria.
My bro's playing Minecraft.
he straight up played Minecraft, but here's the thing. He did it in an instant. He literally was just like, you know what?
How powerful is this guy?
Huh?
How powerful is this dude?
Oh, dude, the Slann are insane. They have ridiculous potential. I think it exhausted his magical energies, but yeah, he was just like, yeah, it's fine. Whoop. And just summon a mountain. Problem being, summoning a mountain will have serious seismic activity worldwide.
Oh no. What did he do?
Let's just say that the dwarves were not too impressed by his actions when all of a sudden their tunnels started flooding.
Oh no.
On the other side of the world.
How did they know it was him though?
Oh, they don't. They were literally they don't know. It was literally just this thing of like on the other side of the world. Like imagine if, you know, literally in Africa, or let's just say like somewhere in like Indonesia, and just being like a mountainscape, just whoop. And then all of a sudden you're just hanging out on the beach and you're just being like, what happened to the sea levels?
Yeah, you're just a giant tsunami out of nowhere.
Yeah, like you're over here. You're over here in the West and you're just being like, what the hell happened? And so all the dwarfs with their like underground like subway system that they have going on to travel just got flooded. And just earthquakes, just, you know, rocks are started falling and just collapsing on top of the underway. Like I said, Lizardmen, they don't care. They don't care about you. They don't care about your family. Whatever keeps order in order.
I just don't even know what to say. He just spawned a mountain.
Bro, just spawned a mountain. And inadvertently screwed over the dwarves. And meanwhile, the high elves still have the balls to gripe and complain. Because Malekith. Anyways, anytime that I can shit on the high elves, I will take the opportunity.
Oh, I don't blame you.
They deserve it. Yeah, everything that we've described. All right, listen. Ever since the War of the Beard, I don't forgive them. And you can sure as hell bet that the dwarfs don't either. But I think that really, I think that covers the Lizardmen and everything I wanted to cover. I don't know if you have any questions or if you can think of anything that I might have left out.
No, not really.
Yeah. I guess, one thing I didn't mention was just, the economics of it. The Lizardmen have, trade amongst, other Lizardmen, but by and large, it's sort of this, they just operate with, this sort of programming that they know exactly what they have to do. That, oftentimes the only thing that gets in the way is the duty of the Lizardmen. But beyond that, they don't have to worry about, they sure as hell don't have to worry about, chaos corruption just spreading around their people. So it's anything witch hunters and all that stuff, that's out the window. Don't need to worry about it. But by God, if those humans don't start looking a little chaosy on our coastline, get them out of here. Exterminatus. Exterminatus. All right, well, shall I take us home then, sir?
Yes, go for it.
All right, well, Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Please do consider becoming a subscriber if you're not already. Please leave a like, leave a comment. We love seeing all of that. It all helps the channel just to know how we're doing. And until then, we will see you all next time. Take care.
See ya.